So the first thing I'm doing as always is priming the eye area. I'm using a synthetic brush to add the primer to the eye today, but you could use your fingers, and the primer will help the shadows to last all day long, prevent creasing, and will allow them to appear as vibrantly as possible. I'm taking this palette from Penny's next. It was only €6 and I've used it in a tutorial before. It's a grand buy for less than a tenner. I'm starting out by taking the white creamy shade. It's a matte shadow, and I'm using a C-shaped brush to press this all over the eye area. So anywhere that I applied the primer, and this will set it in place and give us a nice blank canvas to start out on. Then I'm taking this warm brown eyeshadow, and this is going straight into the crease of my eye, and it's going to act as my transition shade. So this will just allow the next couple of shadows that I apply to blend that bit easier, and I'll have a nice gradient effect due to using multiple shadows. It just gives us dimension and therefore a professional feel to the smoky eye. As you can see, I've been using circular motions, which is great if you want a rounded appearance to the smoky eye, or you could wing the shadow out, and this style helps to elongate the eyes. So I'm just flicking my brush upwards and outwards on the outer corner of the eye, aiming out towards the tail of the brow. If you struggle with the shape or when you were blending the shadow outwards things got a little messy, go back in with that first C-shaped brush and use the remainder of the creamy shadow that's left on the brush to clean up and sharpen the edge of the shadow. Also a handy tip, if you have a sharp edge or you've blended the shadow up too high, you can use the white to pull it back down or fade out an edge by sweeping over the area of concern. Next then, I'm taking this purple eyeshadow and I've picked it up on a fluffy blending brush. Initially I'm patting it down on the outer third of the eyelid, and then I'm sweeping the shadow across into the crease. Then I'm going back in and picking up some more of the shadow and adding it back into the crease to build up that intensity. Now, if like me, your foundation is already done and you happen to have a little bit of fallout, just take your fluffy brush, could be a powder brush, blush brush, whatever, and just carefully dust that excess product away. Sometimes though this doesn't really work depending on the shadow or the colour. Sometimes you can smear the particles across the skin instead, which you don't want. So if you've got your foundation done but you don't want any mess under the eyes, take a loose powder and quite liberally pack this on under the eye area, and then apply and blend your shadows as normal. What happens then is the fallout from the shadow lands on top of the powder, and then you can just dust everything away once you're finished. You'll have no streaks of shadow on your face because you'll have had a barrier between your skin and the shadow. So now I'm taking a black eyeshadow and I'm adding this halfway across the eye area, making my way from outer portion of the eye inwards because I want it to be darkest on that outer edge. Now this black isn't the most pigmented, but a few layers and it's grand. Just to show you then, after adding the black, I had a good bit of fallout, so now with a couple of sweeps of my brush I'm removing that powder straight into my hair, but I've swept away the powder, and as you can see I've no fallout, no mess, no fuss. What I do then is I buff the rest of the powder into the skin, and I find it just brightens under the eye too, so it further sharpens up that edge of the shadow and just makes everything look a bit more polished. So you can leave that powder on until you're finished with your shadows. I've just chosen to remove it now. But I'm just mixing the purple and the black and adding this into the crease to help fade the edge of that black shadow. And then I'm dusting a mix of the two on the inner half of the lid, so it kind of gives us this deep purple shadow, which I really like. Then I'm going to pat some shadow along the upper lash line, and to do this I'm using an angled brush. This one has a nice curve to it, so it makes adding shadow along the lash line really easy to do. It just hugs the lash line beautifully. Then I'm moving on to the lower lash line, and I'm starting out by using a small bullet shaped brush to pat some of that light purple shadow down along there, and patting motions will allow you to get an intense colour payoff from your shadow, and it'll minimise the chance of fallout. So moving back to my angled brush again, I'm picking up some more of that black eyeshadow and patting this down along the lower lash line just halfway across the eye, and once again going back in with my brush, fading out the black. We want this look to be nice and soft and smoky. I don't want harsh lines. Then I'm using a black kohl pencil to line my waterline, and I obviously want the black to last there all day, so I'm patting some black eyeshadow over the top of the liner, and that way it'll set it in place and stop it from smudging. Then I've used all matte shadows up until this point, so I want to add a little bit of sparkle around the tear duct of the eye. It adds a nice contrast, and I'm using a small bullet shaped brush again to apply this around that area. For lashes then, I'm using the SoSu lashes in the style Dubai. These are exclusive to Pennies and are only $5.50. And then I'm using the e.l.f. mascara to blend my own lashes in with the false ones. And that's it. So I hope you enjoyed the tutorial and found it helpful. If you did, please let me know. And I'll chat to you all soon.